What's up and welcome to Ahead of the Curve. This is your host, Jonathan Gellner, and thank you so much for joining us today. This episode is powered by Stick and Ball TV, the baseball and softball streaming platform. If you're a coach that's listening to this and you haven't signed up for Stick and Ball, then what are you waiting for? With weekly videos from some of the greatest softball and baseball coaches in the country, it's an absolute no-brainer. Check them out at stickandball.tv or on the Stick and Ball TV mobile app. On today's show, let me introduce to you, or I guess reintroduce to you, Robert Woodard, head baseball coach for the Charlotte 49ers. On July 1st in 2019, Robert returned home to the Queen City as the fifth head coach of the Charlotte 49ers baseball program. He did so coming off being an assistant coach at his alma mater at North Carolina for 3 seasons. Woodard, a Charlotte native, also served as the pitching coach at UNCW and Virginia Tech. In his first full season after the COVID season in 2020, Woodard guided the 49ers to a 40-win season, the Conference USA regular season championship, and a berth back into the NCAA Postseason play for the first time since 2011. Woodard also took home Conference USA's Keith LeClair Coach of the Year honors. So on the show, we discuss his first steps in year one, we talk about building the foundation, and we go over what they're doing this fall. You're going to love this episode with Robert Woodard. Robert, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jonathan. Appreciate you having me on today.
Man, I'm so excited to get to talk with you again. I think the last time we spoke, we actually recorded when you were the UNC pitching coach. And then I think like the week before it aired, you took this job and you're like, hey, can you change the title? I was like, oh yeah, sure, of course. So really excited to see what you guys are doing. And I know that I mentioned off the mic that it's been really excited to watch the progress that you guys have made. But tell us a little bit about, so you decide to take the job. So you're at UNC, you're a UNC lifer, like that's what you're known for. And then you decide to take the head job at Charlotte. So tell us a little bit about what that transition was like, what your first couple months were like, and then how you started to get the ball rolling to where you feel pretty, I think it's really cool where you guys are today, but I want to see where you started to how we got there.
Thanks. No, yeah, it's cool to kind of revisit and talk about that time frame because it was a whirlwind, that's for sure. I mean, I think you talk to any coach that either takes a first time head job or a new job, and gosh, it's just one really long to-do list. And I think it's, and looking back at that time, July 1st of 2019, when I was coming to Charlotte from UNC, my first priority was making sure that I was trying to leave my alma mater and, in a great place. So trying to communicate and with everyone and making sure that everything was lined up, just from a pitching and a recruiting side as much as I possibly could, so that, the next pitching coach, who's now Bryant Gaines, could come in and hit the ground running and make sure that the program wouldn't miss a beat. And then, I think there's a great quote, in a video I watched of Buzz Williams, who was the basketball coach at Texas A&M, who was previously the basketball coach at Virginia Tech in my time there. And he says that it's pivotal for a new coach to I think to really concentrate on his stops more than his steps. And I think it's really easy, when you look at the to-do list, just to think go, go, go. But I think it's very important to take, the necessary time for and stop and have very deliberate conversations and very deliberate actions. And if a phone conversation, your first day on the job requires 45 minutes, don't cut it short. And so I just tried to be very deliberate as far as, kind of my stops versus my steps initially. And then, just kind of hammer it out and go through the to-do list, which, I've got tons of moleskins and notebooks that myself and our staff, we write in each and every day. And they just kind of pile up because there's so much as a coach that you have to do. And so, I kind of started with the coaching staff and trying to surround myself with the best people possible that shared a vision, and then, really work to connect with the current Charlotte team and the players that we were recruiting, and kind of hit the ground running and establishing an identity and a brand that, how we really wanted the program to look and feel, and one day at a time try to build and create that to where we are at this point here, starting year 3.
I love that. And, reading online and doing some research, 2019 was a 40-win season, and it was the first postseason play since 2011, I think it said. And then, so I guess, going from having success at UNC and then deciding to put, you are the head man, so you're everything is going to fall in line under you. And so I guess, turning the boat a little bit from, again, the last postseason play was 2011. And so you had your work cut out for you. So tell us a little bit about establishing that culture that you mentioned. Like, what were some of the things that you guys put up in a really high important role early? So, it's you're looking, I'm imagining this, looking at all of the different things and all of the different steps that you take. And you mentioned slowing down, but where did you really put a lot of your time and effort early on just to build the foundation of what you wanted to do early?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think right away we tried to really just kind of almost look at ourselves as, in a sense, like consultants, I guess, to where we came into Charlotte and we really tried to evaluate the program and its history and all the things that were positive about it. And we wanted to make sure that we really tried to continue to maintain and uphold the positive things about the program, because there were so many. And then we tried to look at, based off of all of our coaching staff's experiences and our stops and our mentors and lessons we had learned, guys like Coach Fox and at UNC and Mark Scaff at UNC Wilmington, 2 legendary head coaches I've gotten to, really, work under. Just try to take the lessons of how they've built very successful programs, and try to identify some areas here at Charlotte that maybe we felt like we could improve, and just go to work on them. And so that covers all facets from to recruiting, to building a roster, to the messages that we put on the walls and on display for our players to see and staff to see on a daily basis, to how clean the locker room is, to just everything really. There's no detail too small or stone that we really didn't want to try to unturn to see if that could be the difference between us winning and losing. So we really kind of viewed, I would say we really tried to almost view ourselves as certainly coaches, but also consultants, where we wanted to come in here and really try to assess all the positives, keep the positives intact, and then look at not necessarily weaknesses, but our opportunities to improve and improve those one by one, day by day.
Oh, really good. One of the interesting things I think that with college baseball, I guess with any job in general, is when you're taking over, you have 3/4 of your team or more that you didn't recruit. And so what was that, not what was that like, but what was your process on making sure, I like the consultants, the quote that you were talking about of just helping them to own their career, being a consultant and giving it back to the players, because again, they don't know you very well. And I'm sure you're trying to get to know them and gain trust, but I want to know, like, tell us, walk us through what that was like, because I have no idea. And so there's probably a lot of coaches that are listening that are like, man, yeah, like I never thought that I'd be walking into a room where I didn't know any of the players. And so tell us a little bit about that process of building trust and just trying to get everybody on the same page, pushing forward with not only they were there for the program, but with the direction that you wanted it to go.
Yeah. Well, I think myself and our coaching staff, when we got to Charlotte, I think we, as you mentioned, I mean, our opening team meeting there, every player was a returning player, a recruited player from the previous staff outside of maybe, one or two guys that we signed late in the summer for that team, and I just looked at it from the standpoint that, hey, they came to, those players, they chose Charlotte. They chose Charlotte to help Charlotte win just like I did. And, that's kind of, I'd say that's probably where the foundation of, kind of our relationship started is like, look, we all came to Charlotte to help Charlotte win and be successful. And so we all shared that, that common goal. And then from there, like any other, like a coach at any level, you take time to get to know the player and their families and their interests and who they are and what their strengths are and what their weaknesses are and things that, that they need help with to be successful. And you just try to do the best you possibly can. And so, that was kind of, I guess that would be the center point of kind of how we viewed it is that, even though, maybe our first year, the COVID shortened 2020 year, maybe that was a team of players and, that predominantly, was carryover or recruited by the previous staff. But, that's a special team for me. And I know the rest of our coaching staff, because we all locked arms and said, there's people out there that are saying that, we can't achieve our goals and things can't be done. And we locked arms and did everything we possibly could to help Charlotte be successful. And, I think it's only fitting that, kind of our signature win that season was our last game before COVID hit and the College World Series got canceled. And we beat a really, really talented NC State team on the road, in Raleigh to, and before 2 days later, the season was canceled. So, that group's always going to be a very special group to me. And even though necessarily, our coaching staff didn't recruit or those players or anything like that, I mean, they chose Charlotte for the same reasons we did, which is they wanted to help this program be successful and get to the top.
No doubt. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, so you played at UNC, then you coached for Team USA, who's in Cary, North Carolina. Then you coached at UNC Wilmington, which is in North Carolina. And then you were back at UNC, and now you're at Charlotte. I was like, you must really like North Carolina, was my first thought.
Well, I was at Virginia Tech for 3 years too. So
okay. So you did get out of the state's borders.
Yeah, I went Wilmington to Virginia Tech for 3, and then back home to North Carolina and then Charlotte. But yeah, they call it the great state of North Carolina for a reason. It's a special place. No doubt.
Well, we got to go around North Carolina, South Carolina, and Savannah, Georgia, and watch the Bananas play this summer. And beautiful, beautiful part of the country, man. I truly could see why you would want to spend most of your life there. And so one of the things that I really think is interesting is coming up with a style of play, and you get to recruit the players that you want to go with that style of play. You guys could rake. Obviously, you're a great pitching coach, and so I'm curious. What do you guys look for? Because I don't mean to this in the worst in a bad sense of the way, but like Vandy's going to get Vandy guys, right? And so you're talking about different programs, or and the draft's going to take a certain amount of guys that all of us would want to work with. So what is kind of the style of play that you guys have decided on? Obviously, by following you guys on Twitter, development is a huge key to your program. But tell us a little bit about what you guys are looking for on the recruiting trail. What's a 49er look like? And with the style of play, how have you guys found success with those type of players?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great point. I mean, certainly it's the recruiting battles that we all have, no matter where you are very competitive. And I would just say, look, we start with the person first. We start with the person first, and because it's really easy. I think it's very easy to go watch a player pitch or a player hit or a player play and say, okay, look, this kid's clearly very talented and he's very good. But then, for us, I think I'd say one thing that, Toby Bicknell, our recruiting coordinator, is as good as any recruiting coordinator I've ever seen. I think he's one of the best in the country. And I think something that we really pride ourselves on is building relationships and getting to know the players and their families, certainly on the phone, and then if Zoom, by Zoom, and then getting them to campus and being around them for as much as we possibly can in the 48-hour window we're allowed to. And I think if you'd ask any player that's committed to our program the last 2+ years, I think they would tell you that our visits are different. And I think they're different because every single coach on staff is involved start to finish from when player and family steps foot on campus. And that's because we want the players and families that we recruit to know our entire program. But at the same time, we also want to get share our get our entire coaching staff's views and perspectives on the player and the family and the visit. And we think that a team is like a family, and if you're going to invite somebody to be a part of your family, then you've got to be excited to be around them on a daily basis. And so the visit, the communication and the relationship building and the recruiting process is really, really important for us. And there's as you mentioned, there's great players out there that are going to choose some other schools and other programs for reasons. But, we feel like when we get in the thick of a recruiting battle with other schools, we're going to do everything we can to kind of out relationship, our opponents, I guess, and just be ourselves. And we feel like that works well for us. And so, I think that the relationship side is very, very important. Communication is very important. And yeah, I think we truly value winning as well. So we really value players that come from winning programs who, they're on the mound in the big games. They're on the mound, at the end of the start or the end of big games, that they're in the batter's box, or the key positions on the field for winning teams, because, we just think that, even though we think that there's tons of players out there throughout the country that, they might not be first or second round prospects, but they're winners. And we try to work really hard to whether they're here in Charlotte in our own backyard or throughout the state of North Carolina, or all the way across the country or whatever it may be. We try to work really hard as a coaching staff to bring great people and winners here to our program in Charlotte.
No doubt. I love that. And again, you have to find a recipe that works for you. I feel like, talking to you and some of the really good college head coaches, it's like we could get the most talented players or we could get the guys that fit for us. And it seems like the second one is more of a recipe for success. And I want to dig into, so you get winners, you get talented guys in, and then you guys are doing a really good job with developing. Last year, I think I was reading you guys were like top 10 in either OPS or on base percentage and several different categories offensively. And so I'd love to hear, well, not just that. I know that you do a really good job with the pitchers as well. And we covered that in the last podcast as well. But I'd like to really dig into what you guys are doing to develop this fall. So I don't know what restrictions you guys have. I don't know with time constraints. I know that we spoke a couple weeks ago and you talked about, you guys had scrimmages and different things like that. So I'm assuming you're either done or you're close to being done. But just kind of walk us through what you guys have done thus far, and then we can just kind of take it from there.
Yeah, no. So, I think our coaching staff that we've put in place here at Charlotte is incredible. I've mentioned Toby Bicknell. He's our associate head coach and recruiting coordinator. He's coached at some really fine places such as Kentucky and Air Force, Davidson, under Coach Leggett at Clemson. He is a bulldog when it comes to recruiting, but he's also just an unbelievable coach on a daily basis with our guys. And, so him combined with Austin Miney, our pitching coach, who we hired from Premier Pitching Performance, one of the top, pitching training facilities in the country in St. Louis. He's our pitching coach with Phil Sebahar, who is, we hired from Arkansas. He was a grad assistant at Arkansas for the last 3 years. He's a young up and coming college coach that is just, it's really kind of mind blowing how much he knows about hitting and the modern methods of training, and that I think we've all seen out there, but his ability to apply them with our guys is really incredible. Tyler Simmons is our director of player development here, and he installs so much of the technology side of things, and works with our catchers and is just, he's an incredible asset. We call him the Semi app because he's kind of like an app on your phone. And when you need something done, he gets it done. And, and then Eric McKibben is our director of performance that we also hired from Premier Pitching Performance, or P3 in St. Louis, to train our guys. And I mention all those guys because, I feel like we've gotten to a place now where we have such great synergy on our staff as far as just kind of our vision and our goals and our verbiage that, in terms of the things that we say to our guys on a daily basis. And we talk each and every day about how to get better. And it starts when our guys get on campus. Eric, our director of performance, he runs our guys through a full head to toe assessment. Which basically we measure our guys, everything from head to toe as far as their internal, external rotation, their mobility, their lack of mobility, their strength. And then from there, we build kind of individualized training programs in the weight room for our guys to be able to try to, to continue to develop. And that's both for pitchers and our position players. And this is actually the first year in our program that we've been in a kind of assessment-based program on the pitching side for 2 years. This is year 3. And now we've gotten to that level with our position players. And we feel like from what we've seen this fall, it's really helped us. It's helped us get stronger. It's helped us move better. It's helped us recover. So, I'm really excited about, headed into the spring with this type of training. So, so kind of all, with that, we've worked very hard here at Charlotte to, and with support of, from former players and alumni and donors, we've worked really hard to try to fundraise as much as possible in terms of trying to be able to go get the pieces of technology and equipment that we feel like can really help our players improve and develop. So everything from, the new TrackMan V3 stadium unit for on-field performance, and then Sony RX100 cameras, bats, video system, blast motion sensors, Rapsodo hitting and pitching units, amongst a lot of other things. Really, we've tried to work really hard to, to try to be at the forefront as much as we possibly can with the tools and resources, because we want our players at Charlotte to have the best of the best. So, that's essentially we've installed all those things, and from there we try to we try to apply them and use them on a daily basis to the individual player on his needs, or could be when using the Win virtual reality system for pitch tracking. That's something we feel like we'd like to get even better at as far as our plate discipline decision making. So we kind of combined. We do a lot of work with the Win VR goggles, and then this was our first fall where we actually had the TrackMan V3 stadium unit because we installed it in January. So we were able to have a big screen television set up right behind the batter's box every scrimmage, so that our hitters and catchers could turn around and look at the pitch location, and we could really start to try to enhance and develop our decision making, which I think most hitting coaches, like the number one thing in hitting is getting a good pitch to hit. So we've tried to really, try to train a very fundamental old school aspect of hitting, I guess, with, new school tools and technology. And I'm excited about the progress I think we made this fall.
Sure. No doubt. And it's, I'll put the link down below for the Charlotte Baseball Twitter account, because you guys post a ton. You guys are showing off what you're doing, and it's really neat to be able to see you guys and how you're implementing all of that stuff. And so when I was in Charlotte this summer, do you guys play? Is it an old minor league park, or is it a current minor league park that you guys play at? Do you share it? Because I was curious about that, and I'd love to hear.
So we have Robert Merriam Hayes Stadium here, actually, where I'm located, right here on campus, and it's we seat up to 3,500 capacity, and it's a beautiful ballpark right here on our campus. Honestly, it's people we talk about players visiting and families visiting and people coming here, and they're kind of blown away with kind of the aesthetics of the ballpark. And in fact, we've got some pretty cool things in the near future that we're gonna unveil as far as future plans, which I'm certainly excited about, but can't really go much into quite yet. So it's only getting better. But then, we have a great relationship with the Charlotte Knights, who are the AAA team in the of the White Sox affiliate uptown, and we'll always try to play 2 or 3 games uptown, and we think it's one of if not the nicest ballparks in the country. We've also established a great relationship with the Kannapolis Cannonballers, who are just 20-25 minutes north of us here, and we played the first ever game in their ballpark actually this past spring against Appalachian State. And we'll continue to try to play games there as well. I mean, so that's one of the neat things about playing college baseball in Charlotte is, and you're just in a hotbed of both college and professional baseball, and we want to try to give our players as much of as many unique experiences as we possibly can. So we'll have 3 home games we'll have home games at 3 different venues on the schedule, but really I'd say we have 35 home games, 31 of them are going to be played here on campus.
Oh, that's cool. No doubt. So Charlotte was a beautiful city, and I'm sure there are a lot worse cities to go to school in around the country. So I'm sure it's really hard to get guys that are from smaller towns to be like, hey, come up to Charlotte for a visit.
Yeah, I mean, some of the reactions, especially from some of like the junior college players that are they're coming in off the grid and they're flying in and they're seeing everything from the skyline to to campus. I mean, not many people know we're the 3rd largest school in the state of North Carolina, right at around 30,000 enrollment.
Wow.
So that surprises some people, but yeah, I mean, it's an unbelievable city. It's we've got the Hornets, we've got the Panthers, we've got so many. We've got PNC Amphitheater 3 miles away with some of the best concerts coming in town. So it's just an awesome place really to live and certainly play college baseball. So we feel fortunate to be coaching here, and 3 of our coaches on staff grew up here in Charlotte, myself included. So this is home, and we just we want we want to see our program get to the top and be playing in the College World Series, and that's that would be really would be a dream come true as a Charlotte native to be able to help this program get there.
No doubt. Very cool. So one of the things that, we talk about with culture a lot is you can feel it, and when you see it, you see it. But I don't know how many people actually talk about practical steps that they go about daily on how to do that. And again, you're year 3 now. And so I'd love to hear how you guys are continuing to build layers upon that, on the top of that. And you've mentioned several of them, which you guys are getting a ton of technology and different ways to help your players. And I was reading on your website, you got a ton of alumni stuff, which is really, really neat too. But just tell us a little bit, you're in the grind on a daily basis, you're seeing your players daily. How are you continuing to build layers upon that from a culture standpoint?
Well, I'd say I'd have to acknowledge, again, 2 mentors I've already mentioned, Mike Fox and Mark Scaff, from the standpoint that they showed me at a very young age as a coach that you've got to have standards within your program. You've got to have really some sort of non-negotiable things that, this is who we are and this is who we're going to be. And, because these are things that we believe help us be successful, not only in the short term, but the long term. And these are things that help us be successful, not only in the game of baseball, but beyond the game of baseball, whether that's, if you're have over a 3.2, you can grow facial hair. And if you're below a 3.2, you can't. We don't use profanity here in our program. I've seen Coach Fox run a program in which you can compete for a national championship where you don't have to coach in that manner. And, our guys go to class, our guys show up early, they leave late and work hard. And, there's just little things like how you leave your locker and how everyone dresses and looks the same, and how you leave the dugout, and how you pull for one another as far as pitchers watching each other's bullpens, and if there's something that a player sees that can help the other player improve, by all means, speak up, having each other's backs. I mean, just those little things that we, are kind of, they're not negotiable. I mean, and we tried as a coaching staff to hold ourselves first and foremost accountable, and then support staff, and then our players. And that way now, like you mentioned, I mean, we're 3 years in now. And so guys, we recruit, we talk about those things. So if guys are choosing to come to Charlotte to play, because they want to be a part of those standards, and they value them. And so, and that way too, when guys come in here, it's, we don't have to run through a whole laundry list of things and expectations. It's just kind of, hey, I'm, as a player at Charlotte, this is how we go about things. And we're going to represent this university and the city with class, and both on and off the field. And that's just kind of who we are. And so, as a coach, if you see something that, doesn't look or feel right, you just try to correct it, and don't necessarily have to get, mad or upset about it. You just kind of, just kind of maybe, nudge things back in the direction that you want to go. And so, that's kind of, I guess, in a sense, how we try to go about it. I think, but it starts with the coaching staff, and you've got to have, no matter which level or which team or what sport, you've got to have a group of coaches that are, I think are similar, but not the same, I mean, and you've got to have a coaching staff that's not afraid to, I mean, there's coaches on, one of the things I love about our coaching staff is that, we all have unique perspectives, and if we see something that can be better, they're not, not afraid to speak up and say, this can be better. And, we have a high amount of collaboration on our staff, and the same thing from our players and our leaders within our program. If they, guys know they come by the office all the time and just talk and shoot the bull. And if there's things that we can do better, then by all means, we try to.
No, I love that. And, speaking of building the culture, how much, I don't want to say easier, but how much, well, maybe I'll want to say easier, but how much easier is it now year 3 when you've already established and you've had guys into the program for a couple of years now that they know, and so they can hold each other accountable. And it seems like you're someone who really promotes that within the team as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't say necessarily it's easier. It's just different. I think it's one of the differences between being good and great is good teams are, typically led by the coaches, and great teams are typically led by the players. And so I think it's just, as a program, I think it's us trying to get to that next level of, hosting regionals and playing in super regionals and going to the College World Series is, I think for us to do that is, it's kind of, we instill the standards and teach the lessons, and then our guys, they kind of carry them out. And so that's, that's where we feel like we kind of are, but there, there's no let up. There's no times where we feel like, we don't ever have a day here where we feel like we've got it figured out, and we don't ever have a day here where we feel like, okay, now we can relax and be comfortable, and that we don't have that. We've got a sense of, we're not where we want to be yet. We know where we want to go, and we haven't gone there yet. So although we feel like, we feel like we've made great progress. Every single day we show up here, I think as, coaches, sports staff, and players at Charlotte, I think there's a sense of, we're not done yet. We're not there yet. So
I love it.
I think that's pivotal as well, because as soon as you feel like that you've got culture figured out, or you feel like you've got certainly the game figured out or anything, you're going to get it handed to you. Mm-hmm. So, I know what that feels like. So I think every coach knows what that feels like, and sure. You don't ever want to feel that again. So, it's a daily thing, and you never have it figured out, and you never, so you just gotta, again, we've got standards, we've got goals and aspirations of where we want Charlotte baseball to be, and we're not there yet. So day by day, we try to do the best we can to keep going.
Thank you for listening to Ahead of the Curve. If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving us a rating or review wherever you are listening. I also wanted to remind you that you can find the video portion at the AOTC channel on stickandball.tv. Have a great week.